Megan.
Hey, it's Olivia.
Sorry, I knew that.
That's okay. I'm going to change my
I knew that.
name.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Okay.
Oh, Shelley. That was lovely. Your log cabin in the background.
Playing around with the pictures. My
I
laptop
love it.
doesn't allow me to do it. So
I love it. Hey, Kate.
Are you guys all ready for family reunion?
As ready as we're going to be. Are you?
I suppose. Are you guys doing like I guess your COVID restrictions are a little different than ours there.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to try and make it as fun and engaging as we can with COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we keep getting snow. Like,
Yeah.
make it stop.
Yeah, I think our high on Sunday is 3 degrees.
Oh my goodness. Well, okay. I'll not complain then, because that sounds horrible.
I'm like, why did it have to be on the weekend though? That's what I have a problem.
That 3 degrees sounds like torture.
Yeah.
I want no parts of that.
Yeah. And I always joke that people that say that they love winter have never had livestock before because it's awful.
What all do you have?
I just have horses and chickens.
Okay.
But yeah, this morning I was breaking ice with a post hole pounder because my shovel wasn't like strong enough to get ice through. So
No, thank you. No, thank you. I want no parts of that. I want to be where it's sunny and warm.
No. And the crazy thing is I moved here from Florida. I grew up in Florida, so.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
I don't know. I ask myself that all the time.
For real.
No, the summers here are great. They're worth it.
Yeah. Someday I'm going to move to a warm climate. Once my kids are gone and Lana's getting connected here. How you doing, Kate?
Good.
Good.
No babysitter today. It's gonna be a great day.
Gearing up for the birthday party this weekend.
Oh, my mom, the birthday party. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole
so
thing.
All the cleaning I did and this snow day, it's like,
yep. Perfect storm.
Like, I could have just kept them busy all day today and tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay.
Lana or Larry? Which one do we have today? Larry. How you doing?
Peachy.
Good. Good. I see a text just went out reminding everybody. Olivia, I think, Larry, were you on our last one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday.
You know, as a chef, I think you'd be pretty up on that,
Yeah, well, I knew you'd catch that.
right? Like, of all the things for you to forget, food shouldn't be one of them.
I think I was, and I still have notes.
Okay, good.
It's getting easier all the time.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. That's good. Well, I tell you, Olivia, what I'm going to do is I will be watching the waiting room just to see if anybody is hanging out in there. And
Okay.
I'm probably just going to shut my mouth and let you guys talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Okay, perfect. And then do I have the ability to share screen?
If you don't, you will in a minute.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So good morning, guys. Thanks for jumping on here. I'm excited about this today because there's a couple of updates that have happened since the last time we did this call. And, you know, command is always changing, and I think for the better. So there's some exciting new stuff going on in there. And, you know, we have family reunion coming up, so I'm sure there will be more to learn about next week. New things always roll out in February for our company. So we got to keep our eye out. Excited for that. For those of you that haven't met me, my name is Olivia Poisty. I'm the owner and co-founder of Avenue Transactions. We're based here in Colorado Springs, but work with Keller Williams market centers all over the country. So here in Tennessee, Florida, and then you guys in West Virginia as well. So yeah, super excited to get started. If you guys have any questions, like please feel free to participate, stop me. Sometimes I talk too fast, so tell me to slow down if I'm moving a little too quick for you. That's totally fine. And then we'll just all kind of explore running a transaction through command. Before I get started, is there anything that anyone on the call today hopes or expects to get out of this class that you will think that it's a win when we get done if you learn it and know how to do something better, or just are able to master a piece of running your transaction through command? Nothing tripping you up right now in particular?
Nope.
Sweet. Okay, sounds good. Well, let's get started. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. You know, I always like to start this class by talking a little bit about the vision behind command. And I know people that have been with the company for a while know that when command first got started, I mean, it's been a vision for a long time. I think they started talking about the platform and running it through labs in 2018-ish, late 2017-ish. So it's been quite a journey with KW as they've continued to roll more things out and turned what was a conversation and an ideal into a reality over the last few years. As you know, if you've used command for more than a hot second, things are still constantly changing and being updated. So it's really good. I'm happy that Larry is on this call again for learning purposes, because like I said, since the last time we talked, there's been some updates. So creating an opportunity is how we're going to start this. Really, an opportunity begins with a client. So as you're interacting with your database, I guess we can start there. Your contacts are located, if you look on this left bar here, they call them like your widgets here. Think about each one of these widgets as like an app on your cell phone. They all kind of operate independently of each other, and they can communicate with each other as well. So I'll go ahead and create a new contact here. So hard with Zoom because I have to like move my little windows around. So I click up here in the right corner and click add contact. And then here I can put in their information. So I will go ahead and put Kate in here. If Kate was married and I also was in contact with her husband, I could click add relationship and connect her to another contact in my account. So that way when you're shopping with a husband and wife, or you're listing a husband and wife's house or mother-daughter or whatever, you can always link them together with this add relationship button. Then we can always add their email address here. Their phone number. I'll just put mine in here. And we can get as detailed or as surface level as possible with this. Again, the database, the database portion of Command was designed for you to stay in touch with your database at a super high level. So people get really nitty gritty in here and sort their contacts into groups. They're able to select, you're able to select your lead source here. So if you are doing maybe like events, you can create your own event in here, or if you're running Facebook ad campaigns, or if you have any other way of reaching out to people, you can sort them by where you met them. You can mark them as a lead or add them to the sales pipeline, which we'll add to the sales pipeline today, since we're going to go ahead and create an opportunity for Kate. And then there's also this add more information button. So again, you can get in here and get real nitty gritty, put in an additional email address, an additional phone number. If they have multiple addresses, you can link their Facebook in here, their social media profile, which is super helpful, especially if you're calling your database and you haven't spoken to someone in a while. How awesome is it to real quick jump over to their Facebook and see like, oh, they had a baby this year, or oh, they just adopted a puppy next week. It's a good like conversation point to connect their social media in here. Also, you can go in here and put in their birthday, when they moved into their home. So if they're a past client, and again, relationships here, you can add spouse, mom, dad, son, daughter, however much information you want, and then company here, and then you can really get like I said, creative here and add custom tags. A good example of this is I know an agent here in the Springs area that does like a pet campaign. So all of her clients, she knows all the names of their dogs and cats and everything that they have in their home. And so she also adds their pets' names and adoption dates and birthdays and gets really crazy with it. So truly you can create this however you want it to in Command. But we'll go ahead and create Kate now. So now
Kate would definitely be one of the pet-friendly clients too.
Yeah.
She's got a whole zoo over there.
I saw her post about the goat the other day. It cracked me up.
And I've seen that goat every time I've gone to Hagerstown since.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so now we're back in the opportunities section. And again, this is the widget with the two hands shaking on the left-hand side. So we can go ahead and create an opportunity for Kate. You can choose their market center here. I'm in a couple different market centers. So I'm going to go ahead and choose Hagerstown. Opportunity type, we're going to say that Kate's a buyer, so she can buy a new house for all of her crazy animals. I am the owner of the opportunity. Now, this is important if you're on a team. If you are on a team with a couple of buyer's agents, or if you're on a husband and wife team, or a 50-50 partnership, husband and wife teams, just pick one person to own all of the contacts. Like just run them under one agent all the time. Something to note here too is when you change the owner, it also changes like who has access to the opportunity and who's able to make changes. So if you want to continue to edit the opportunity and you want to add a person to it, you can add them as an assignee, just don't add them as an owner. And then the client, we can search for Kate here. So now we know that she's in there. And again, if there was a relationship, a co-buyer, if we had Kate's husband in here, we could choose that. We'll say title it 123 Main Street. And remember for your office that you need to title it the name of the state. So if it's a West Virginia contract, it needs to be titled West Virginia. If it's a Maryland contract, make sure that you're leading with the state number. This is super important for compliance purposes, so that they can find the transaction that they need to review, because we are kind of, the way that compliance works in your office is a little bit divided, who's reviewing what files. And this lets us know right away what kind of contract it is, and what documents we should be looking for. Make sense? So custom tags, again, if this was going to be a new build or maybe it's a land deal, I could tag it however I wanted to sort that in my database. Choose an estimated closing date. And this is important because this is what the office is going to go by for tracking when it closes. So make sure that you select that accurately there. We can put in Kate's budget and then her completion rate. And we're going to say her opportunity phase is cultivate and this stage is nurture. So these phases are going to plop this opportunity down in the pipeline in the associated spot. So we already said that it was a listing, so it's going to show up in our listing pipeline, and then it will show up under the cultivate phase in this stage nurture. So we can click create. And then it takes us right into that opportunity. So if we ever wanted to go back in, let's say that we had the, if we were just looking with Kate and we hadn't had a property address yet, we could even just name this opportunity Kate Buyer Searching for Homes, or however we wanted to name it. I would just say, again, with this, make sure that you are consistent. So if you're showing buyers, make sure that you name them the same every time. So if it's last name, first name, or just the buyer's last name, and then the area that they're searching in, however you want to do it, just make sure that it's consistent. Remember, this is a system that we're working. So we want to make sure that it stays consistent, that's easy for us to read, so that when we bring more people into our world, it's easy to show people how we are doing things. And then, so here's all the information. If we ever wanted to edit this information, you can click this little pencil button right here, and we can go back in and again, get really nitty gritty with the data in here. Oh, Zoom, to move you around so I can. Okay, once we do find a property, we can also click in here, and this is especially important for a listing. So we're going to go United States of America, again, 123 Main Street. I don't know if I can do West Virginia. We'll just click into a Colorado Springs address, why not? And then save it. If this ever fell out for whatever reason, if we couldn't get Kate under a contract and she had to end up leasing for another year, we can click this lost opportunity button and check it to archive this opportunity. That's what that little toggle switch is for. Okay, any questions so far? No? Perfect. So this little buyer profile thing here, this is a newer option here in Command. We can, when we click in here, it can say if there's an app associated with Kate, and also if there's a guide associated with Kate. So the new guides, and we won't dive into this today, but you can set up guides in your app. So once you have the app already connected to a client, you can set up a buyer guide or a seller guide that kind of walks through the transaction as we are going through with our buyers. So it can send them updated emails of what to expect next. I'm sure you guys are doing something similar as you move through the transaction. Right now we are under, your earnest money is due. Next, we're going to do our home inspection, like that kind of thing, to keep the buyer updated as we move through the transaction. So you could always associate her with the app or the guide there, and that's where that information would show up under the buyer profile. Next is documents. So here, now that we have Kate in our system, we can select a checklist type here. So we can choose whether it's residential or a West Virginia purchase in your office. So we'll go ahead and say West Virginia. And then once we choose what type of checklist that we are in here, you'll see that the checklist has dropped in automatically into this consultation folder. So you can see what documents that we're required to upload for the office's compliance purposes. So we need our exclusive right to represent buyer agreement, and then optional is your notice of agency relationship, and then conditionally required is our West Virginia withholding requirements. So same thing as when you go under contract, you'll see that the checklist is already in here. All of these documents that are tagged required have to be uploaded in order for the file to be approved. These conditionally required have contingencies here. So if the contract was released, then you would be required to upload the release of contract and deposit. Same with your contingencies and clauses and your property disclosure. And then all these optional documents have a place here as well. Any questions on these requirements? So when we click here on the contract, there is an example document in here. So you can look underneath there when you click on the actual name of the document. If they're underlined, there's an example doc in there. So if you ever had any questions on what was required, you could click there to take a look. When we upload a file, we click this add file button here, and we can drag and drop the files from saved onto your computer, or we can browse through our files just, so if you had it downloaded as a PDF, you could drag and drop it into this space. And then when you click assign, it will appear on this line in here. and be uploaded so that the office can see. Also in the document section is the comments section. So we could at anyone in the office. So if we wanted to tag Lenny, if we had a contract question, or if we wanted to tag Kate, if we had a question, you can jump into this comment box, use the at button, and they would get a notification through their Kelly app. And also there would be a notification up here at the top of their command page. So they can see if you wanted to communicate with them inside of a specific opportunity, you could communicate that way. Make sense? All right, so the next section is offers and commissions. Now, this is another thing that has changed since the last time we chatted on this video call. These were two separate sections. If you remember, you used to have to, Larry, did you have a question? Sorry. You're muted.
Just double checking, when we're back at documents, Len and I are used to using .loop, so we'll go to attach multiple files and click the ones in that are necessary, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Just making sure. Thank you.
Yep. Yep. Sorry about that. Yes, you can click attach multiple files. If you have your .loop account synced with command as well, these documents can pull over that way too. So no matter how you're uploading documents through here, things like the MLS sheet in your under contract folder, that would be something that you would, take a screenshot or download as a PDF, and that would come from your computer. And then when you click the attach multiple files button, that's where you have the option to pull them over from .loop or DocuSign or whatever e-contract system that you guys are using. And again, we can create, custom folders in here as well. This can get as nitty-gritty as you want in here. And I think that's one of the things I really love about Command is that there are so many options and so many ways that you can connect your documents in here. You can connect basically anything, through PySync, any system that you guys are using outside of the Keller Williams systems are completely connectable in here. Okay, so offers and commissions. There used to be two tabs here. If you'll remember, you used to have to go to offers and create an offer. In order for the commissions tab used to be grayed out. In order to make the commissions tab clickable, you had to go in, create an offer, submit the offer, accept the offer, and then then the commissions tab would show up again and you could click through. So KW has gone through and actually combined these two tabs. You'll still need to go ahead and add a new offer, and you can name it. So like if, this is Kate's first offer, you can say Kate offer number 1. And again, this offer system was put in here in order to sync with the app in the future. I think, over in Colorado Springs, and I'm sure your market is very similar, I approved an opportunity the other day that had 8 offers uploaded in this section because their property had 8 offers on it on the first day that it was live under contract. And they had their clients set up through the app. So what this agent did was put in the pertinent information for each offer that they thought would be acceptable for their client. That broke down the information instead of just sending them over the contract to buy, sell, and be like, interpret this, or taking that big document and sitting and flipping through each of the terms. This section in Command allows you to break down the offer into bite-sized chunks for your sellers. When you receive offers, or also to keep track of the offers that you put in for your buyers, especially right now in as competitive of a market that we're in. I'm sure you guys are in the same spot. We're having, 22, 32, 35 offers on a home within 24 hours of it being live on the MLS. And this is an easy way for you to chunk those offers down for your sellers. So we're going to go ahead and create an offer here. So that agent in Colorado Springs, like I was saying, had 8 offers in there with all the pertinent information so that their seller from their app could actually look through at the offers and ask the agent if they had any questions on any of them and see which terms looked the most appealing to them as a seller. So that's what this was designed for. And I know some people are like, why do I have to put an offer in just to submit a commissions? And it's just kind of funneling you in that direction so that once we are all completely synced with the app, we can be using that feature at a high level. So we can say that we are putting the offer in today, that the close date is going to be March 3rd. The property is going to be 123 Main Street in Colorado Springs. And And then here, it'll also let you select it from KWLS. So if the listing was live on the MLS for more than 24 hours, it will sync over to KWLS. You'll be able to connect the listing through here. We're going to skip and go through to parties since it's a fake listing. We're going to say that I'm the seller. You can put the seller's email address if you have it in here, and their phone number if you have it, but we are only looking at Kate's information right now. And then representation. So I'm representing Kate as the buyer's agent, and then you could say, you know, that Chris Klontz is representing the seller. We can put the buyer's agent's name in here, as well as their phone number. The seller's agent in here. I'm sorry, we're representing the buyer. This is important too. I know in our world, so when we set up smart plans for agents from Avenue Transactions, we set up a co-broker smart plan. So we like to document this data, and we actually create a contact for each one of the co-brokers on the other side of the transaction. So you can continue to communicate with your co-brokers for profit sharing purposes to help bring them over to KW. And so that's why we like this information in here. You know, if you wanted to track that in the future and really focus on building your profit share tree, you could get, you know, as much information as you could in there. So then terms, let's say that Kate is bringing 50,000 into the table and she's financing 400,000. We could say what our earnest percentage was, and if there's an optional fee. Now, I don't know how you guys are writing on your contract, but if you were charging like an administrative fee, anything like that, you could put additional optional fees in here as well. Again, with the terms, you can say that we'll give them notice of termination within 15 days after contract, how much the seller will contribute to a residential service contract, or settlement costs, closing costs. So again, this is where you get to kind of communicate with your buyers and sellers at a high level about this offer. You can put in pros and cons here and a summary of the offer. Maybe pros are that it's a quick close. Maybe cons, it's a FHA, like more inspections. And then you can write a summary here of like, you told me that your goal was to move out of your house in 30 days. This would allow you to do that. Just know that we might have to have more repair options, that kind of thing. So this is how you can communicate with your clients at a high level through that. But if you're not using the app, you can just click save here to move on to the commission section of this. Any questions so far? Is it making sense for everyone? Everyone's tracking with me?
Will there be a time in the future when we will cover setting up the app?
I definitely can set that up. I don't have a class on the calendar with you guys right now, or I'm not sure, Adrian, do you have a class on the calendar for the app? Oh, you're muted.
If that's something that you are able and willing to do, I would love to work with you to get that in the schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually, our tech guy out here in Colorado Springs is amazing. And so I can work with him and see maybe if I can even get him as a guest on the call too, because he is awesome. Yeah. Good deal. Okay. So once we have our offer in here, when it is the winning offer, we can go ahead and click accept, and that will pull all the information that we need over into the commissions tab. So then here we can go to manage commission. And when you have an accepted offer, oops, I need to, Zoom, get out of my way. Okay, when you have an accepted offer, you'll see here again, you can change your response here if you decide to go with a different offer or one falls out. And then the manage the commission button, you'll see once you accept that offer though, there's that little number 1 next to offers and commissions. And then the commission status will say open here. So that's kind of how we know where we are. Those 2 little icons there, the number 1 and the open lets you know that you have an accepted offer in there. So now we'll go to manage commission. Perfect. So here's the summary here. You want to make sure that this information is all accurate and lined up. If you had multiple agents on here, again, if you were on a team, this is where you would see your buyer's agent's name. If you had any bonuses or concessions, this would all show up on here as well. You can also, if there's something kind of wonky with this that you're unsure of, when you click this add note button here, you can type a little personal message that Kate will see when she accepts the commissions. Even if you say something like Kate rocks, you could always do that. That's really nice to see when you're going through zillions and zillions of opportunities. Then we can go through here. It'll give you the option to edit the general information. So this says that it's kind of yelling at me here saying that I'm missing the contract date. We can go through here and say that our contract date was February 11th. Today we just put it under contract. Also in here, again, if you were on a team or if there was another agent in the office that you were working with, you can also click add another agent. Here, this is where you'll be able to search for the agent in the office and add their split on here too. Something to note is pay attention to how you're splitting the unit. I don't know if your office has a specific policy, and Kate, if you do, feel free to jump in here. But make sure that, again, you're doing this the same every time. I know some teams annotate the whole unit to the Rainmaker, some split the unit between the Rainmaker and the buyer's agent. However you're doing it though, be consistent. And Kate, yeah, I'll let you speak on that.
Yeah, so typically if it's just an individual, obviously goes to the Rainmaker. For husband and wife teams, it goes to whoever's booking the production. And then for teams, it just depends on how that individual team wants it set up.
Okay, perfect. So just make sure that you know the team that you're working with, how that they like to annotate the unit when you add another agent. You know, some people like to split it. So if they're splitting the contract 3 ways, you'll see like this 3-way split of the unit. Sometimes only the Rainmaker gets the unit, and that just matters for production reports. So again, just check in with your team to see how you are to annotate that in your world here. So here's our payment breakdown. If we close that tab, it'll just kind of give us the overview here. We can go edit agent payment. It'll calculate our gross commission here and our units. Also the royalty that I'm owed to the office. So I'm at a 6% royalty rate. So I owe the office $810 here because I'm not capped. And remember, this feeds capping data over, but only on a as transmitted to the office basis. So this is not in real time quite yet. So let's say that you have 3 under contract and 1 just closed yesterday, but it hasn't been processed through the office and you capped on that transaction. It won't necessarily show up here in your capping information quite yet. So again, that's something that you could put in a note to Kate, like I'm pretty certain that when this one closes, I'll be capped, or something along those lines as well, so that she knows to take that royalty or the cap, your commission off if you are going to cap on a transaction. Just remember that the office's system actually does not allow Kate to take more than you owe her. So it will yell at her and scream at her and put all kinds of bells on there for her if you've already capped. So just know that if it's not showing accurately here, it's just because it hasn't fed to the office quite yet. If we were going to make a donation to KW Cares, we could put it in this line. Same with KW Kids Camp and Bold. If there was an extra payment option, if you were going to pay, let's say a transaction coordinator, you could put a deduction in here for the amount that they were transaction coordinating. Although, fun fact, your transaction coordinator would be doing this for you if you did have a transaction coordinator, so you wouldn't even have to be messing around with this. But we could put, you know, Avenue Transactions here, and then who the pay to was, what their address and phone number is. All of that information can be uploaded there. Okay. This same thing with if there is a bonus, a concession, so say you were giving money back to your buyer or seller on the contract, or an outside referral. If this was a referral from somebody out of state, we have a lot of those here because of all of our military bases. You could put, you know, your referral fee in here, as well as all the referral information. Just remember that if you do put a referral, you also need to add that brokerage's W-9 and your referral agreement in the document section of commands, so that Kate knows who we're paying that to and has all of the necessary information for tax purposes. Good? Good so far?
I have a question.
Sure thing.
It's Sonia, by the way. I'm having a hard time trying to figure out how we add and subtract out our admin fees, and then subtracting out the $195 that we pay for per transaction. So how are we putting that in there?
So specifically for your office, I'll have to have Kate ask about the 195 fee. You're talking about a fee to the office for 195. Is that correct?
Yeah, it comes every one of our transactions, but it's, your bonus could be more than that. And then, I'm just not sure where that's actually going in when it comes to these, with this particular
For the
process.
bonus, if you go to add item right there,
Right, I see that. Okay, so if I put that in there, then how am I deducting out for the 195?
sure. So you're gonna put the bonus in there, say it's 295,
Right?
okay, and then we're gonna add it, and then we're gonna add another item as a deduction, and that's gonna show it coming off of your income. So then it's gonna be 195.
Right, but then it's also making me put in all this stuff like the pay to, description, address, all that junk. So I'm supposed to put that in every time?
Yeah,
Like that?
unfortunately, we don't have an option to template that yet.
Okay, so, but that's how I would do it. You're saying that do it that way and just put in some kind of words into that add item situation.
Yeah, so you actually can't just add random information because then I can't import it into my system. It tells me that
No.
we have to do this thing. So you either have to go through and put all of that stuff in there, or what I am doing until that function is available, just put it in your the note to me that an admin fee is applicable, and I'll deduct it off.
Okay. All right, I was just wondering. So right now it's not really functional for us.
I mean, it's functional, yes. It's just a little bit of an extra step that you'd have to do.
Okay. All right, that's what I need to know. Thank you.
Yes.
And I actually think too, and I don't want to get too in the weeds here. Sorry, I'm exploring this for my own. I'll look at it later. Okay, sorry. I know it's again, command is just a constant work in process here. And like Kate was saying in this note section, you can go ahead and click here and say admin fee applicable. So just know that when you do it that way though, that your total on here will not reflect an accurate number. So when Kate goes in, if you did put a note like that, this won't reflect the deduction on here. Whereas if we went ahead and add the deduction, it would show subtracting out of your commission on here.
And really with that, for my purpose, I really just need to know if it's not applicable.
Right.
If it's under 50,000, if it's not allowed on the HUD or settlement statement or whatnot, that's when I need to know. If not, then I'm going to charge it on everything.
Right. Neat. And I will say too, this commission section has kind of changed the MCA's world and the way that it imports over into Winmar in a good way. I just wish that they could, you could like save the same bonus or the same deduction in there every time and feed all that information over. I'm sure that's coming. They're doing everything they can to make it a little bit easier, but so far not yet.
So let me real quick, is that when you hit the submit button on that, is that creating a green sheet?
Basically, it does the same thing as creating a green sheet before. When you click submit, it will show up over on Kate's side of things that she has a compliance or a commission request. So it is the same thing as clicking the submit button on a green sheet. Once you click submit, it will say that it's submitted. Under this here, I'll go ahead and submit it. Kate, sorry, you're going to get a commission request. And again, it's going to ask you about KW Cares, which we already put it on there. So I'm going to put no. And then see it shows submitted here. So now on Kate's side of things, it'll say that she has the commission request and she's able to go in and accept it. Until this says submitted, if it still says open, Kate can't do anything with it. It's just like, with green sheets, how it used to say that you had like a pending green sheet. There was like that section that you had already filled out, but it wasn't quite submitted to the office yet. It's kind of the same thing when it says open. It's like you're still able to edit it and the office doesn't have access to it yet. So once she submits it, Kate can go into command, accept the commission, which then feeds it over into her Winmore system. And then that's where she's able to create the DA. Make sense, Sonia? kind of tying it to the green sheet there?
Yes, but it's not really officially the green sheet is what I'm understanding.
I am accepting this in place of the green sheet. We just haven't enforced it across the brokerage yet. So yes, if you want to use this commissions tab instead, we're actually looking to switch here in the next probably month or so.
Okay. And one quick question. I just happen to have one up in front of me and I have this note that says excess agent commission. What does that mean?
So that means that the total commission is not matching what you put on the agent payment. So if you click the edit agent payment, this total commission number under general information is smaller than your agent payment. So I would just go through and make sure the two numbers match.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I do think, as you're moving over, there was a lot of pushback in our offices up here when we switched from green sheet to commissions. I think commissions are easier, and it's nice that you don't have to like bounce from one section to another, go from command where you submit your documents over to the green sheet platform to submit your green sheet. I think green sheets were really convenient when we were in dotloop and there was that like get green sheet button at the bottom of our dotloop. And we could feed it over in from there. Is that still how you're accessing it right now? Probably not, because dotloop is not, it's not a KW contract anymore. So anyway, yeah, use the commissions tab if you can, play with it, and go from there. So let's jump back to our sales pipeline over here. So again, this is our opportunity in here. We should have, where's Kate? I need to find. She's the buyer. That's why she's not doing it. So here's Kate in the buyers tab. So we kind of went through from a commission standpoint, but in your sales pipeline, you're able to drag and drop these people through the stages and phases. So we can move Kate all the way to under contract up here. So we just click on the opportunity, drop it in the under contract section, and then we'll find her over here. And we can drag her all the way through as she goes through the stages. So if she's in the appraisal stage, we can put her here. We can drag her down and say that she's clear to close as we get closer to our closing date, and move them through those stages. So in real time, you can look at your sales pipeline and see kind of what you have coming down the pipe. You also, this is a customizable feature in Command, so you can click the edit stages button here. And if you wanted to change any of these around, if you have a different process, a different checklist that your team is following or that you personally are following, you can go in here and actually change all the names of these. You can also swipe them around and change the orders up in here. You can delete them so there's not so many. You can really, again, make this as customizable as possible. I think it's really funny, when this first rolled out, Josh's team said that the hardest part of this process was getting agents to agree on exactly what stages of the transaction there were. It was like different in everyone's brain, how they moved a client through the transaction. And so they decided that these 5, the cultivate, meaning, we're just talking to these people still, the appointment, we could all agree that eventually we have an appointment with someone to kind of seal the deal, making their home active or them becoming an active buyer, and then going under contract and closing were the only things that anyone could really agree on. And that's why they added all these editable stages below that, that you can really, just create to match your process and how you move your clients through the transaction on your team or yourself as an individual. You can always go to list view here too, if your brain likes that a little bit better, to look under the stages here. You can sort them by closing date, the commission, the opportunity name. There's all types of ways to look at them. If we go back to our sales pipeline too, if you ever can't find an opportunity, if it's just missing, there's a lot of places for it to kind of hide in there. You can always click all opportunities and that will show you a list view. So when in doubt, if you can't find your opportunity, click the all opportunities button. I promise it's still there somewhere. And then here you can also filter it too if you have a really long list and you need to, really get nitty gritty in finding it. You can choose how many you show, all kinds of stuff, to make sure that it's easy to sort your property. So if we go back to Kate, once she is already under contract, our commission has been submitted, everything goes well and smoothly, we can also click over to the closed folder. This is where you'll update your closing checks and your settlement statement. Please make sure that you do this part. I know this is an easy step to fix. The office does need those documents. So once those documents are in here, go ahead and click submit to MC so that they have those. And then you can close out your transaction by moving it over in your pipeline again to the closed section.
I got a quick question.
Yeah.
When you submit documents to your broker, they look at them, they send them back if there's problems or not. And then let's say a little bit more into the contract, you get another form like an addendum, and you add the addendum to that list of documents. Does that automatically feed over to the broker, or do you have to literally hit submit to whatever?
You
submit to
have to hit
MC every
submit.
time?
Yeah, so the document will show up in that file if the broker were to go into your folder and look for it, but they don't get notified that there's a new document unless you click the submit button. So that's kind of a yes and question. You'll
Okay.
see when you add a new document after it's already submitted, the little stage button here next to the under contract or whatever the folder name is will say changed, meaning that since you've submitted it, you've changed something in the file. So if it says change in there, I would just go ahead and hit and submit it again. And then it'll show like a resubmitted button once they return it to you and you resend it in.
Yeah, I've just been pretty much doing it the first time because it's required, and then right before when it's done and I have everything in there, then I hit submit again and just go from there. But I was wondering if they had seen, if they could see those forms, but you've answered that. You're saying that they don't unless they particularly go into that file and actually look for it.
Exactly. Like if they went in the file, they could see the forms there, but it wouldn't trigger them that there was like an active file that there had been a change to unless you clicked the submit button.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. So once,
When we hit that submit button, it'd probably be advantageous to put a little note in there that there's a new document.
Good, thanks.
you could, but it also does show, like if the documents are already approved, when the broker goes and looks on the list, it shows which documents are new. So it actually goes through and tags them for them to make the process a little easier. They actually have a button when they review it too that says like review all the documents or review new documents. So it kind of sorts it for them. So yeah, it would be nice to submit a comment, but the system kind of takes care of it.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, welcome.
Sure, when is it?
And then the other thing that you can do in here, if you had an additional folder, what I see a lot over in our neck of the woods is
Sure,
people
yeah, that'd be
saving like
fine.
email communications and things like that. So you can add this custom folder just for your personal records, right? If you just had documents that you wanted to keep with the file, put it in there, but the broker is not able to review those folders. So if you do add a new custom folder, they can see the files, but they can't like review or put notes or anything like that. Those are your personal documents. So again, if you had maybe some email threads that you thought in the future, I just want to make sure that I hold on to these, or, you know, anything additional, text messages, whatever, I would put them in that custom folder there.
Where is that custom folder? I didn't see that part.
Underneath, so there's West Virginia Purchase here on the left side, and then there's this custom folder
Oh,
section.
custom folder. Okay.
Yep,
Add
and then
new
there's this
custom folder.
added
Okay,
new
got you.
And you can name it whatever you want, but again, if you put documents in there, the broker is not going to be able to review them. So just know, like, don't put your contract in there.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Glad they can't see that. No, just kidding.
they can see the document there, but they just can't review it. So they can't like approve it or deny it or add comments or things like that. So again, those are just documents that are pertinent to the transaction, but are not required by your brokerage, or good things to put in there. Or like, you know, pictures or whatever. There's always something that comes up that you're like, oh, I want to make a record of this. And that's a really good spot for that folder. Also, fun fact, you can click over here on the timeline button and you can see everything that you did and when you did it and who was in here looking at documents or moving things around. So when you click the timeline, if it loads, you can kind of see the activity in here from here. So you can see that I changed the checklist. You could see if like Kate came in and reviewed a document. All of that stuff is all located in that timeline section. Any questions? I think we about covered it from beginning to end, unless you guys had any particulars. I'm here for it. Yeah, I think adding that app class will be really interesting. So you guys can see how this all ties in. I think it's a great idea, Larry. So we can, talk about how to use the app at a high level. The other things too, for all you transaction coordinators and admins that are on here, or, if you're an admin on a team, these checklist options are also really, really helpful in these stages. So again, if you have a team of people that are working together on a transaction, so say you have a listing manager or a client care coordinator and you have specific checklist items for each stage, you can set up checklists in here. It also will say like who did the checklist items. There's some accountability built in there for you and your team. So say when someone goes under contract, you send a congratulations email and you also send flowers to their office, whatever that was. You could, again, customize it to your process as much as possible. I'm a fan of this platform. I hope you guys are too. I know there's a lot of, learning involved and that stuff changes and moves all the time. So I get it. But I think that KW is really doing a good thing for us in this, especially as the real estate technology world keeps changing. I'm sure you guys have seen recent headlines the last couple of days. And I just want to encourage you and know that KW already has a solution, that we've had a solution for years, and that we don't have to worry about how the industry shakes and moves as much as people at these other brokerages that will eventually become obsolete because they don't have a platform like this. So I just, want to encourage you guys as things are getting funky out there. If you're on social media, I'm sure that you have seen, I can't wait to hear from Gary Keller next week. I hope you all are coming to family reunion so that we can see what the game plan is and stay relevant. Okay.
Olivia, one last question.
Sure thing.
When we're doing the checklist options, whether when those are done, I'm assuming they'll also show up in the timeline, right?
I am uncertain, actually. You want to play with it real quick? We can do it. Let's
I'm gonna ask a quick question. I'm gonna throw your name out, and if you don't hear your name, let me know, because I need to process of elimination. I need to figure out who's left here. So I see Shelly's on, Sonia's on, Susie Butts is on, Shannon's on, Kate's on. Who's left?
Larry.
There's one coming up.
Miss Bigfoot.
I am here and she is here.
Yeah.
I don't know who the iPhone is.
Why did Melanie Johnson show?
It's nice when I say it's not on my end.
Who's Melanie Johnson?
Yeah, I don't know who the iPhone is, but that's okay. Go ahead, Olivia.
Yeah, so the checklist item did show up here in the timeline.
Awesome.
And again, this is, if you have an admin or if you have someone on your team that is utilizing this at a high level, this timeline piece can be huge. So we, at Avenue, again, we get a report at the end of our transaction in our system that looks very similar to this, of everything that we've done. And we actually save it as a PDF and upload it with the closing documents to our clients so they can see what we did every step of the way. And so if you're on a team and you have a buyer's agent or you have a listing manager, or you have a client care coordinator, and you're using the system at a high level, this is a really great tool for accountability for who did what and when, right? So thank you, Larry. I'm happy to the checklist fed into there too, because that's a huge tool. All right. I think that's all I have for you guys. Enjoy your family reunion. I wish I was there. I wish we were all in Vegas together so that I could see all the faces, but we will be together virtually and it'll be awesome. So have a great family reunion next week. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Olivia.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. Good night.